Okay, let's unpack this. Today, we're diving into something pretty huge globally, Pop Mart. And specifically, this whole empire they've built around, well, not just toys, but the thrill, the psychology of the blind box. The sources we looked at, they really map out this incredible journey Pop Mart took. You know, from this small kind of trendy boutique in Beijing just a few years ago to what people are now calling a global IP powerhouse.
Yeah.
So our mission today really is to figure out how they did it. What are the mechanics, the psychological tricks, the tight grip on their IP, and this whole vertically integrated system that turned, let's face it, affordable plastic toys into this massive cultural thing in the 2020s.
And that start point, that mechanism you mentioned, it's absolutely the key, isn't it? This affordable but high-emotion blind box model.
Right.
Now, Pop Mart definitely perfected it and took it global, but the sources do remind us, the basic idea wasn't totally new. We saw hints of it in the U.S. maybe around 2010 with those trendy vinyl toys, Japanese anime figures.
Yeah, I remember some of that.
Yeah, but that was mostly just distribution, right? Pop Mart grabbed that idea of random chance, really professionalized it, and just engineered it for maximum feeling, maximum response.
And looking at how they started, I mean, it wasn't your typical path at all. Founded in 2010, Wang Ning, it began as just a retailer, right?
Yeah.
A shop in Beijing selling pop culture stuff,
Yeah.
imported things,
But yeah.
basically curating other people's products.
Exactly. But they must have realized that just being a good curator, well, that wasn't going to get them to the massive scale they wanted. The real game changer, the pivot, came in 2016.
Okay.
That's when Pop Mart shifted hard. Away from general stuff, focusing almost entirely on these branded collectible toys. They kicked off their first big blind box series with Molly, that character designed by Kenny Wong, the Hong Kong artist.
Yeah, she's iconic now.
Totally. And that shift, it wasn't just, we sell different things now. It was a complete rethink of the company. It sparked this explosive growth, turned them into this IP engine. They create their own stuff, make it, sell it.
An engine, I like that.
And it all led up to that huge Hong Kong IPO in 2020. It's kind of amazing, really, how one really well-done IP idea can just rewrite a company's whole financial story.
And that engine, like you said, it runs on psychology, human psychology, fueled by the blind box. So break down the mechanics for us, because getting this loop is like essential to understanding why they're so profitable.
Yeah.
It's what keeps people buying again and again.
Okay, so the basic idea is elegant, really simple. You get a sealed package. Inside, there's one random figure from a particular series, right? But the genius part, the hook, is putting in those super rare secret or chase figures.
The rare ones.
The source material calls it a gambler-like thrill. It's this manufactured dose of uncertainty.
But hang on, gambling usually feels high risk. This doesn't seem like high risk financially.
Exactly. That's critical. The price, usually pretty affordable, like $8 to $15. So it's an easy impulse buy, low risk. But the pull of that secret figure wanting to finish the set, or maybe just landing that really valuable rare one, that desire kind of overrides the low cost. It makes you want to buy more, maybe lots more, just chasing that rarity. You're not just buying a toy, you're buying a chance.
Okay, so there's that initial dopamine hit from the surprise, but that only works long term if the characters themselves are cool and there's a community around it.
Precisely. And this model is just perfectly suited for today's world, the social media sphere. It hits all the right notes: surprise, collectability, and massive social sharing. You look on TikTok, Douyin, Instagram, tons of unboxing videos, people sharing that excitement,
Oh yeah, you see them everywhere.
And that whole psychological loop spills over into this really active secondary market. When you see figures like some of those limited Labubu ones going up like 700% in value, that just adds to the brand's mystique, its prestige.
Wait, 700%? On plastic figures. That sounds less like collecting and more like some kind of speculative asset. Is it mostly real collectors driving those prices, or is it just digital FOMO, people trading?
Well, it's probably a mix, but that's the beauty of the model, isn't it? The fact that there is that high secondary value, it kind of validates the whole thing, even for the casual buyer.
How so?
It turns that $15 impulse purchase into something that could be an investment, or at least like a really cheap lottery ticket. It makes the chase feel potentially worthwhile financially, not just emotionally fun. And those high prices, that's free advertising for Pop Mart, constantly reinforcing the value of their main products.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for me. Because the real, lasting value here isn't just stamping out plastic figures. It's the IP itself, the intellectual property. They build such a strong emotional tie that these things become well, full-fledged brands.
That's the core idea, absolutely. Pop Mart's success is built on its own IP portfolio.
Oh.
Characters like Molly, Dimmu, Skullpanda, and yeah, the big one right now, Labubu. These characters they own are critical because they create this deep, loyal fan base that Pop Mart controls completely. They're not waiting for someone else to make the next big thing. They are the creators.
And they lock down that ownership really strategically, don't they? They either do these very selective deals with artists, making sure they get exclusive, often global rights like the Kenny Wan deal for Molly, or they grow their own talent internally through their Pop Design Center, the PDC. How big a deal is the PDC? Is it like an internal IP farm?
Oh, the PDC is crucial. It's their engine room for innovation, quality control. By developing IP in-house, Pop Mart keeps total creative control. The look, the story, and maybe most importantly for the blind box, deciding how rare things are when they come out.
Controlling the rarity.
Yeah. That level of internal ownership means they can react super fast. If a trend pops up, they can design and release a new series almost instantly. A company just licensing stuff can't move that quickly.
But they're smart. They don't just rely on their own stuff. They're also really good at using characters people already know and love. Established licenses.
Absolutely. A great example is that Disney Princesses collection they did. They tap into the huge global recognition, the nostalgia, that emotional connection people already have. It also spreads their risk a bit, not putting all their eggs in the proprietary basket.
And what was clever there, the sources pointed this out, they didn't just make a standard Disney princess figure.
Yeah.
Pop Mart reimagined them in their own distinct style, their aesthetic. That mix, the familiar character plus the specific Pop Mart look, that must be a really powerful way to pull in people beyond just the hardcore toy collectors.
Definitely. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the real foundation for Pop Mart's incredible global growth is that control over the entire process, the whole value chain. It's a classic vertically integrated IP-focused strategy, and honestly, not many competitors can match that.
How complete is that control, practically speaking? Does being vertically integrated really give them that much of an edge?
It's pretty much total, and yes, the advantage is huge: speed and cost. They control the design through the PDC, the manufacturing, the distribution. Since they're not waiting on third-party factories or distributors, they can get a new series from an idea to the shelf way faster than others, lets them jump on trends immediately.
And distribution.
Yeah.
We have to talk about the robo-shops, those vending machines. That feels like a stroke of genius retail-wise.
It really is. Okay, they have over 500 regular stores worldwide, which is impressive. But the really clever part is the 2,300 plus RoboShop vending machines.
Yeah.
These aren't just dumb dispensers. They're high-tech, low-overhead impulse buy machines. They slash labor costs. You can stick them in time spots, malls, cinemas, places people make impulse buys late at night. And Pop Mart gets super valuable real-time sales data based on location. It makes buying frictionless, almost constant.
So that constant presence, plus the digital side, their app, which even has digital blind box draws, apparently it creates this seamless loop, right?
Yeah.
Mirroring the physical buying behavior online and just pulling people deeper in.
And crucially, this control structure means they're less likely to be just a one-hit wonder. By locking in those exclusive global deals with giants like Disney, Harry Potter, even Coca-Cola, they diversify.
Smart.
But they always keep full control over their main lines, their own characters. That gives them a stable, high-margin base. It's a dual strategy that builds long-term strength.
But, okay, owning the IP is one thing. Protecting it is another battle, right? With figures fetching high prices secondhand, the temptation to make fakes must be enormous.
Oh, absolutely. Which is why their IP enforcement has to be, and is, really strict. They treat these characters almost like defending a major brand trademark. It's multi-layered. Secure exclusive licenses, register the characters as trademarks everywhere, control the design and production tightly to minimize chances for good fakes to even get made.
And that's key for keeping consumer trust, isn't it? If the market got flooded with convincing fakes, the whole value proposition of finding that rare, secret one would just collapse.
Exactly right. They actively go after the counterfeiters, the bots trying to scoop up rare items, the scalpers. They use online takedowns, they monitor shopping sites constantly, they expand their own retail internationally to meet demand legitimately. They even do things like transparent polls about rarity levels to keep things feeling fair. That focus on integrity is vital when your whole model is built on scarcity and chance.
And all this rapid success, it hasn't gone unnoticed by regulators, has it?
No, definitely not. The sources mention countries like China and Singapore have already started putting some regulations around mystery box sales. It's not necessarily about shutting them down, more about limiting potential risks for consumers, demanding more transparency, making sure people know the odds, essentially.
Right, enhancing trust.
Yeah, it just shows that even a business model based heavily on psychology still has to operate within evolving rules about fair retail.
Okay, so the ultimate example of all this working together perfectly has got to be Labubu, right? That little fairy creature from Designer Casing Lung seems like the prime case study right now of taking a concept and turning it into a phenomenon.
Labubu is the perfect storm, yeah. It proves the whole system can work incredibly well. Its success just exploded, especially after that endorsement in 2023 from Blackpink's Lisa.
The celebrity effect.
Huge effect. The financial numbers are just wild. Pop Mart's 2024 revenue hit 13 billion RMB. That's roughly, what, 1.8 billion US dollars.
Wow. And how much of that was just Labubu?
Get this, Labubu plush sales alone jumped 1,200%. They accounted for 22% of the company's total revenue in that period.
22% from one character's plush line. That's insane growth.
It's staggering, and that's how you really measure the long-term clout, the collectability. The source mentioned a massive 4-foot Labubu statue selling for $170,000 at auction.
Whoa.
See, that bridges the gap. It takes the IP from an affordable $15 blind box all the way up to the high-end art market. It shows they can nurture an IP into a seriously valuable, aspirational cultural item.
So if we connect this to the bigger picture, what's the main lesson here from Pop Mart's crazy rise? For other brands, I mean. It seems to be that owning the story and controlling the IP is way more valuable than just making and selling a physical thing. They turn collectibles into these emotionally charged brands.
That's a perfect summary. It's the blend. The psychological hook of the blind box, that super tight vertical control over everything from design to sale, and then the rigorous IP protection. They're essentially selling anticipation, manufactured scarcity, and community, all wrapped up in a trademarked character.
So what does this all mean? Pop Mart basically nailed mixing that gambler's excitement with a low price, backed it up with total control over production and how it's sold, and fiercely protected their creations. That's the magic formula, right? Psychology plus control plus IP equals a global giant running on FOMO and dopamine.
Pretty much sums it up.
But as they keep growing globally, you have to think about that regulatory side. We mentioned China and Singapore stepping in on mystery boxes, demanding transparency to protect consumers. It makes you wonder, right? What other challenges might pop up down the road for a brand whose whole business relies so heavily on the kind of emotional thrill of scarcity and random luck? That tension between the engineered excitement and consumer protection, definitely something to watch as this whole collectible world keeps expanding.